So, Amy,
Amy is a delight.
I love Amy so much. Her full name is Amy Carlton. She's the head of knowledge management, communities, and communications at Novartis in Ireland. I thought we had met 2 years ago at the Knowledge Summit in Dublin. We actually met last year when she realized she was doing knowledge management. She had joined Novartis and she realized that that's what she was doing. And she was asking a lot of people for advice. And so I think the conversation we had with her about being an accidental KMer is actually really, you can tell it was personal for her, but I think it's will be something that will resonate with a lot of people because a lot of people, us included, were kind of accidental KMers and
Yeah.
going, "Oh, there's this thing that I've been doing this whole time and there's a name for it, right?"
Yeah. Yeah, no, for
So,
sure. And I love that she was able to kind of talk about her experience, but also bring in her passion. I don't even like her passion for teaching. Obviously, she is super passionate about teaching and talking to people about AI and project management and the different things that she does with that. But tie it into what she does with KM as well. I mean, we both know that project management's adjacent to KM, and there's so much overlap between the two, but there's also some stark differences in how she's been able to kind of, uh, bridge the gap between the two, and even some of her AI forward pieces. And even though she is very AI heavy, she is also very people heavy, and she's able to kind of keep that distinction very clear.
I like that she talked about the importance of mentoring and shared her experience with
Yes.
that. And I think, yeah, you'll get a lot from this episode about communities and the power of communication and story and people. It'll be a good time.
Yeah, and she was just fun. Like, I just enjoyed her, and I really like, man, June feels like it was so long ago, um, and, I mean, I can understand why you felt like it was 2 years ago that we met her because it feels like it was 2 years ago, but really, it was, just not even a year ago, so I'm looking forward to seeing her in person again in June at Summit Dublin. So shout out to Knowledge Summit Dublin. If you are interested in going, I'll put the link in the show notes. Definitely something you should consider if you have the ability to get to Dublin. It's a great conference, very engaging. As um, as somebody who goes to a lot of conferences, as people who just put on a conference, they are a wonderful partner to have. So
Mhm.
shout out to our friends over there. Definitely at least worth looking into. So there's that.
It's
So
June 9th and 30th. I don't know that we
yes.
said the dates. It's
Yeah,
the
we did
29th
not.
and 30th of June.
Yeah, 29th and 30th of June. A fantastic conference. Worth looking at. Well, I'm speaking, Brittany is attending, and yeah. So without further ado, roll the intro.
What's the point of another KM podcast? Well, I tell you, we've got every kind of point, like power and share, laser and name, bullet and prize, focus and pain, power and stands for knowledge management, by the way. Laser and name, bullet and prize, focus and pain. Not another KM podcast. Not an FMRAM podcast. Not another KM podcast. Not just any other KM podcast.
So, Amy, it's really good to talk to you. We met in Dublin 2 years ago, I think, for the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
time. And so, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
I think it would be really helpful. You are the head of knowledge management, communities, and communications at Novartis. But if you could give people who watch and listen to the podcast just a brief kind of introduction about who you are, also outside of work, because we have lives outside of work as well. But a little bit more about what you do at Novartis, and then we can get into the conversation.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, look, thank you very much for having me, Brittany and Rachel. It's great to be here. I love the name of the podcast, and I really love the the music, the intro. I'm assuming neither of you decided to take to the mic, but
No, no, our friend Chase helped out with that. I've been working with him musically for years and, said, "Hey, Chase, can you help us out with this podcast?" And he was like, "Absolutely, I know just the thing." So, he,
yeah,
shout out to Chase Tremaine.
absolutely. It's
Thanks,
lovely. It really
Chase.
gets energy. Yeah, no, great to be here. And yeah, I think it was actually only last year, which is crazy. At the
Yeah,
summit, the
it was
Knowledge
last
Summit
year
in
too.
June, which time flies, not even a year,
Yeah.
which is yeah, crazy. But that was my first time kind of stepping into the Knowledge Summit, and my first time really at I suppose a formal knowledge event. I'm new to knowledge management, so I think definitely an accidental KMer. But yeah, we both the three of us met actually. I think we myself and yourself, Brittany, met the night before at the pre-drinks,
Yeah,
and
that's
yeah,
right.
I loved the topic area that you were discussing, and it was great to kind of yeah get to know KM a little bit more. I was only in my role in Novartis as you mentioned for 3 months at that point, so completely blank space. So my role in Novartis is very much around people, so kind of joining up knowledge management and people. So it's kind of heading up our KM communities and communications. We set up a Centre of Excellence a year ago, just under a year actually, and Barry Byrne, who's my manager, who leads the Knowledge Summit in Dublin, built up a great team. So there's 5 of us, all new into the role, and we're kind of very much centered around people, process, technology, content. But I kind of sit at the intersection of the people, and in a nutshell, I suppose what I'm trying to do is professionalize our approach to communities across Novartis. So we don't want, I suppose, to mandate or police it in any way, shape, or form, but we do want, in some way, to put a little bit of structure around it and make sure people have the resources and the support that they need to build up impactful communities in Novartis. But yeah, and outside of Novartis, I love podcasts. So here I am. I love to walk. I go for runs. I listen to podcasts. I love dogs, and I live with
Awesome.
my partner just kind of outside, maybe 20 minutes outside of where the summit was on. So 20 minutes outside of the city centre in Dublin. So yeah, Irish, as you can probably tell from the accent.
I have a very
Aw.
important follow-up question. What kind of dogs?
Ooh, so that's a good question. Great question. Well, she's an old dog first. She's 12 now, so but still very, very cute. Even more lovable. So her name is Peanut, and she's a cross between, we think she's a cross between a Maltese and a Bichon, and but there looks like there's a little bit of a Shih Tzu in her, and so a little cute mongrel. But she's very
Oh.
resilient. She has every single illness known to man. I think she needs glasses and hearing aids at this point. But no, she's brilliant. She's amazing.
That's awesome.
I love that so much.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love dogs. I always have considered myself more of a dog person than a cat person. But if you ask my wife, she'll be like, "No, you are also a cat person," because we have some cats as well. And there's one cat that just kind of like glommed onto me. But pets. We love them. Can't have a world without them. Can't what was it? Can't live with, can't live without. But I
It's so
resonate with the
true.
senile older dog.
Yeah.
We've got an old I can hear him whining now. We've got a whining old dog in the other room, so
Yeah.
soft spot for the seniors.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. But cats as well. It's so funny. I would have always said as well, I'm a dog person, but a few of my friends have recently gotten cats, and they're so much more affectionate than I thought. I
Yeah,
wrongly assumed that they weren't, but they're just as lovable. So yeah, definitely have a soft spot as well
yeah.
now for the cats. We're just animal
It's a
people.
I
personality thing.
am I am deathly allergic to cats, so I will
Allergic. Oh,
unfortunately never be able to own one. But I have always I think the last time I actually owned a dog, I was like in high school. So I'm kind
oh.
of at this stage where I'm like, I just need like something. I just need a little thing that I can just hold in my lap like while I'm doing stuff, right? Just like so one day I'll get a pet.
Yeah,
I'll get a
it's
pet
time.
one day.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome.
Um
Yeah. You go ahead, or
All
unless you want
right.
me to.
What
Rock,
I
paper,
wanted to
scissors?
do, Amy, because you gave us a really good buzzword, and your
Ooh.
buzzword is also my buzzword.
Oh
And I
wow.
have a lot of strong opinions about it, but I want to hear your opinions about it. So your term that you gave us that you wanted to roast was lessons learned. So tell us what your feelings are about lessons learned.
So it's definitely a love hate because I think the reason I want to roast it is because I think we still don't do it right in any way, shape, or form, personally or professionally. So I love lessons learned. I love the concept, the idea, the approach. But it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, I just think we've gotten it so wrong. So like even so I teach outside of knowledge management. I have I have other areas of interest. So I teach project management and AI, and even within the project management discipline we typically put lessons learned into the final stage of a project, the closeout.
Yeah.
And it's just I know the language around that has changed, and there's been more of an agile kind of approach, more iterative, move it up as a sub step into all the kind of pieces of project management. But yet it's still, I haven't really seen that materialize, certainly anywhere I've worked. It just is something we seem to do in a rush at the end, if we do it at all. And even, yeah, personally then, I think we're all hardwired to often repeat our mistakes. So we rarely take the time. I certainly don't anyway, to kind of pause, reflect, do a quick retro. And I think
Mhm.
that's why I kind of wanted to roast it, because it feels like, oh, like, is it the right term? Are we actually learning? We keep saying and kind of giving it lip service, lessons learned, they're very important, but is it for me, it doesn't seem like it's an actively performed activity. And something I'd never heard of, I'm probably living under a rock, but was after action reviews. So I hadn't heard of that until I came into KM. And that
Mm.
for me, I felt more aligned to, because at least I suppose the word action, it describes something and you're doing it. It sounds like a smaller piece of work, something that you can do realistically after each action you take, after each critical milestone. And maybe that's a better use of the word. But yeah, I think it has such potential and I love it, but also I haven't seen it done the way it should be done. But interestingly though, my colleague Ian Fraser, who you might have met at the summit last year,
Mm.
yesterday he just set up a really cool community across Novartis called Learning from Experience. So the whole point is to bring together people who are actively passionate about learning from experience, lessons learned, after action reviews, as a collective, bringing all those folks together and seeing if there's some way we can, bring lessons learned to life and become, I suppose, train that muscle a little bit amongst ourselves within Novartis anyway. So, but yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts, and cool that we have the same, the same roast word.
I will spare you. I'll spare you the full rant. I just totally interrupted.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that lessons learned in general, mine is learnings, and it's kind of along those same that same thing. Lessons learned for me is super frustrating because I have never run into somebody who has actually used the lessons learned properly. I
Yeah.
can't even tell you how many times I've run into people who've like, oh yeah, well, like especially in the project management landscape,
Oh,
we've done the lessons learned, and then nobody ever actually goes back into the project like repository afterwards and looked at what they've done. So
yeah.
I've seen, well, like one place that I worked that had they have redone a project 3 or 4 times to try to do new iterations of the project. Never well, actually, and the project team was very similar each time, and they never actually accessed their lessons learned,
Yeah.
and it failed every iteration, and I'm like, "Well, part of it is you're not bringing in new perspectives, but also you're not looking at what failed."
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So why wouldn't you like, what is it? Insanity is trying to do the same thing
Yeah.
over and over again with
Albert Einstein
expecting
said, yeah,
different
yeah, yeah.
results,
And expecting different
right? So
results. Yeah.
yeah, so just, the lessons learned piece, like, it can be so beneficial if you
Yeah.
actually look at what you've done,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Like, if you're learning from it and you're actually applying the changes. So,
Exactly.
I've got I could jump on that soapbox all day, but I'm gonna pass the soapbox to Brittany and let her.
Yeah.
I'll continue the soapbox. Oh, it's very similar because I think it tends to be a phrase that people use, just like lessons learned, and then we need a database, and then we'll
Mhm.
totally go to it and we'll see what we've learned. And it's really following up on, did something like change? Did you improve a policy? Did
Yeah.
you change a behavior? Did you update the SOP for that process, right?
Mhm.
Did something change? Because if there wasn't an action, Amy, to your point about the word
Yeah.
action, if there
Yeah.
wasn't an action that was taken, like a change that was made, then did something actually get learned? Or did you
Mhm.
just observe something really cool and, oh, okay, that's great. But did we actually apply it to then this project that was very similar? Did we apply it here? So I think we can't use it as a catch-all for or even a check the box exercise, which is usually what people do. It's like, "Oh, yeah, and then we did the learnings, and now that's great, and now we move on," and then we'd never think about it again. And it's just
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
much time and money, frankly, gets wasted in those types of efforts, and so, um, that's the tame version of the rant. And then when we're in Dublin, we can get beers, and we can have the full
Exactly. We'll
unedited
party a
version.
beer and it'll all come
But,
out. I have heard the term
but,
lessons identified.
yeah.
I don't know if that's something like that seems to be
Oh,
another
yeah.
buzzword that people are trying to replace maybe a little bit with the lessons learned
Yep.
adjective, I suppose. But
It's making that distinction. Did you
yeah,
identify something that worked versus is this something that's actually been tested and it's been learned and then you've replicated it and it's something that's actually a good practice that everyone should do. So I think lessons identified helps to make that, distinction. And then again, I think it gets that messy middle of is what does everything mean? And then we're talking about like what Rachel just said, what is actually learning?
Yeah,
So
but still,
all
but
these
that begs the question, cool, you identified it.
yeah.
Great.
What
Well, what
next?
are you doing with it?
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. How are you going
Well, and
to?
that's the goal, right? Is to move a lessons identified to a lesson that is learned. And
Yes,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but that's a totally different rabbit trail it could go down because again, like, are you actually gonna learn it or you identified it and then what? Like,
Forgetting
okay,
to write
that's a
tips
different
in.
podcast.
we had a whole methodology that I made at WFP. We can edit this out. A whole methodology that I made at WFP about how you identify something great. What is the process of that becoming basically through taking action, through making changes, through seeing it again, through applying it? Can a lesson that you identify that has the potential, how does that then become a lesson learned? And how can that, what is the journey? Um,
No,
so it's
it's
possible.
fascinating.
But anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
we'll edit
And
that
it's
Uh,
out.
kind of small
we
steps.
Um,
digress.
Yeah. It's funny though, even like I saw their kind of lessons learned behavior and action just on LinkedIn. One of my colleagues was talking about how a lot of us going into our lovely AI tools, we keep prompting, going into our prompt window, prompting with the same context each time and repeating ourselves, repeating ourselves, repeating ourselves. Whereas now it's trying to train the models, give it instructions and kind of get them, I suppose you leverage the memory of our AI model. So say, your role-based instruction, give it your context, the tone, all the kind of different pieces of the puzzle that you want it to regurgitate back. And I suppose that in itself is, learning from experience. The model will learn from the prompt you're giving it, and you don't have to keep giving it the same prompt. So those instructions are baked in. So maybe as we become more AI fluent and we circumvent, some of the process with these quick habits, maybe that'll, stem out into future aspects of our roles. But it's funny how in AI we're already starting to do it in a smarter way. But my other roast word was, which I was torn between, was AI first. That kind of, I feel like saying AI first all the time. First, does that mean we're second, or So it just, yeah, that was my other one. But
we're already being replaced. Yeah, exactly.
exactly, yeah, that was the other. But that could be a whole other podcast in itself as well.
Yeah. Yeah, especially when we're all so people focused, or at least a lot of the people that we talk to are people focused when it comes to AI.
Exactly.
So yeah, we'll have to have you back for that podcast because I'm
Yeah.
now curious.
If we're still around.
Uh, so you call yourself an accidental KMer. So what was the moment that you realized, oh, I guess I'm doing KM now?
Yeah. Yeah, like, to be honest, when I look back now, I feel like I was probably doing it inadvertently in so many roles, because I felt like putting a structure or governance in place, or people would go to me for certain questions, and then you're kind of like, well, maybe I am a knowledge manager in disguise. And I thought, oh, maybe it's because I like the PM side of the world. I'm quite into ops excellence, but officially, I've always kind of been in consulting, project program management for the last 12 years, worked in IBM, EY, and then Novartis now for over 7 years. And what was happening a couple of years ago, as most organizations go through, we were going through a little bit of a transformation, and our internal consultancy team, kind of our GBS model, Global Business Solutions model, and we were I suppose, kind of reimagining how that would work. So that meant then that there was kind of a reshuffle in where we were working and what we were doing. And at the same time, in parallel, I saw Barry, who's heading up, who's chief kind of knowledge officer in Novartis and heading up our KMCOE. I saw Barry was building the team and opening up these cool new roles. So didn't really know what knowledge management was, but I thought, let me explore. And when I read through some of the role descriptions, I was thinking, God, that translates very much to what I'm currently doing, or even the areas that I wasn't so sure about. I definitely was curious and wanted to learn more about it. And then it was a little bit as well, follow the leader. I think I had worked alongside Barry on the same floor for a year or so, and I saw the kind of culture and the leadership style. And I knew that he'd be building, a fresh, innovative kind of startup team. So how often does that happen in a big company? And so I thought, that would be somewhere I think I'd like to jump to. So yeah, then applied for the role and realized, okay, now I need to to figure out what KM is. I prepped for the interviews, but still wasn't 100% sure. And then I feel like I'm kind of still learning. I think it kind of changes. It's such a fluid area, and it's hard to describe. And even, I'm sure you guys have it too. But when your parents or friends ask you what you do, it's it's hard to kind of put a definition on a moving target. So, and it's very hard to pin it down, I feel. But yeah, I think in the last year, it's kind of, I've realized, okay, I actually am doing it, but maybe I've been doing it in pockets throughout my kind of, consulting career. And now it just has a formal label to it. But I'm really enjoying it. I think the old cliche, no 2 days are the same. Like, as much as I thought that about working in project management and working on client sites and everything, it seems even more so now. And it's definitely very much a people focused role. Like, obviously, you need to bring that energy. You need to have a bit of an extrovert nature to you, which can be challenging if you're more introverted by default. But certainly in my role, because I'm leading up the community aspect, we host a KM community monthly call. We're kind of trying to help smaller communities grow. So you're constantly dealing with people and bringing that energy and enthusiasm to the role. And being in a startup team, you're kind of, it's very much, this is who we are, this is what we do. So you nearly have a sales and marketing aspect as well. So but yeah, it's kind of a year realization now that okay, I'm in KM. But
It
were you
sounds really
similar?
similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds really similar to
Yeah.
mine and Rachel's stories, where
Yeah.
it's kind of like,
Your
oh, I guess
journeys.
I'm
Mhm.
I'm doing this now. There's a name.
Right.
There's a
Enjoy.
name for what I'm doing, because it's not really this and it's not really this. It's kind of this
Yeah.
weird in between thing, and I've been doing it this whole time. And there's a whole discipline behind it, and who knew?
Yeah.
Um, but I really like how
Exactly.
you described that. And Rachel, I know that you had a similar experience.
Yeah, I had been doing KM without even realizing I was doing KM for,
Mm.
I don't know, a couple of years, really. I came in from, like, the talent development space doing training and all of that. And then I was doing, some documentation, on a consulting team and doing a lot of the documentation and kind of the peopling side of things. And then I had a position open up on a knowledge management team for a trainer. They called it a document analyst because they couldn't use the word trainer because of some red tape.
Wow. Okay.
So I came in as somebody who could train a lot of the folks on the knowledge management stuff throughout the university. And then, I became certified as a certified knowledge manager through KMI on the team, and finally had the language of, this is knowledge management. Oh, I've been doing this the whole time. And even though I was sitting on a IT team doing knowledge management, on that side of the house, I was the people focused person doing that side of the things, like, for the team. So yeah,
Mm.
super similar. Still trying to figure out, like, even now, even though I've been doing this and I speak on KM all over the place, still trying to nail down a concise way to explain KM to
Yeah.
folks, I still struggle with.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you explain it? It's like, I'm trying to get the stuff that out in a more repeatable way, and
Yeah.
even that is a terrible way to explain it. So, I I do the stuff that you already do. Like, I mean, again, terrible explanation. But I usually freeze up. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if you figure out a good way to explain it, let me know.
I tried to flip it around. So when I was at the summit last year, I was thinking, okay, how am I going to, leverage my time here? And I decided I'd get a few video clips of people explaining what knowledge management is, kind of a self-serving project. So maybe I'd figure out what it was. But I
Yeah.
asked Zach Wall, and he said, well, that's funny because usually I'm asking that question because in his podcasts and with Knowledge Cast, that's his kind of opening question, and he had a good way of explaining it. He said he always goes with the bumper sticker definition that knowledge management is about getting the right information to the right people at the right time. So the three
Yep.
rights, and that's his bumper
Yeah,
sticker kind of. And I thought that was a good way of explaining it. So and then you can just
there's a
grow from
way.
there, I suppose. Stick with that default, and then add your own flair to it. Well,
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's a good way to do it.
yeah, it's still in
I
flux.
think
So
the joke in my family for a while was that I was a spy because my family was like, "Yeah, she does something with the computer and kind of research and kind of not, but she likes it. We don't really know what it is, but it's fine."
yeah,
So,
she's happy.
um, but I do think that definition of getting the right, information to the right people at the right moment at least
Yeah,
gets people to be like, "Oh, okay." Like they can wrap their brain around that. And then, if you're at a
yeah,
party and people ask follow-up questions, and then it's like, "All right, well, then I can tell you,
a little bit
kind of
more.
what that means."
Yeah.
I also like comparing it to because I come from so Rachel comes from the education background. I have a very different background. I come from like the nonprofit international development
Mhm.
sector. And in the international development sector, you need donors and you need supporters and you need people um, to support financially and morally the things that you're doing, and that involves storytelling. And so a lot of what I have also found that people are like, oh, okay, I understand, is you need to know what you know. All organizations know what they do, but you
Yeah.
also need to know what you know, and how does that separate you from this other organization that does very similar work that you could also hire to do similar things with you. Why do you want us as your partner? And you have to tell a compelling story. And the
Mhm.
knowledge that you have as an organization, which is different from just what you do and the information that you know, or the information that you work with, that can set you apart from these other people. So why would a partner want to give you money? Why would I, as a philanthropist, want to give you money or support you specifically? It's because you have learned and you've adapted your approaches over time and you're able to
Mhm.
explain to me why this approach at this organization, is the way that we eradicated this many diseases, and therefore you need to work with us because we can prove we have the knowledge that we know what works and we can change the world doing this thing, right? You have to
Mhm.
tell a compelling story and you need knowledge to do that. That's also a way that people are like, "Oh, okay, it's different from IT and it's not this, it's that's, kind of what it does." Um, has also
Absolutely, yeah.
been helpful.
A good way
But
of yeah.
I know so as far as you mentioned, you teach AI,
Yes,
and project management,
try to.
as well. How does that approach because I think that's really interesting. You have your day job, you're the head, of knowledge management communities and communications, and then you have this, it's kind of like a nighttime thing.
Yeah.
How does the teaching, change the way that you approach KM? Or does it at all?
Mm.
Does your night job influence your day job?
Yeah, that's actually great. It does, first of all, but it's a great question, a great way of working, kind of looking at it. I hadn't really thought of it, but now I can see how it does. I can kind of, I suppose the biggest thing is nearly the patience it brings. Like when I'm teaching, obviously with teaching, you're trying to kind of explain it and pare it back all the time in its simplest forms, particularly with AI. Like a lot of it's a night school that I teach for adult learners, and the average age is around maybe 60 to 65. So I always kind of use my audience as, okay, how would I explain AI to my parents? This is how I
Mhm.
should pitch AI to this class because, some folks are coming in as they should with little knowledge, and that's why they're there. So, yeah, I think then what I've learned from doing that is that I need to be, I suppose, calm, patient, go in without assuming any other, I suppose, knowledge of the subject that I'm kind of starting off fresh and explaining it from there and listening to listening to where they're at and meeting them where they're at. And then when it comes to work, then what I find is sometimes, and it's probably been a benefit for me, but I always used to think, oh, I'm kind of a jack of all trades. I'm a generalist. I'm in this project program management consulting role and not really I don't have the SME, insights that others do when I look at kind of people who came from heavy learning and development roles, or, or KM roles, librarian roles. But in a way now, I kind of flip it and think, okay, well, it's actually great because I can speak the language of the people who have no clue what knowledge management is about, or no clue what L&D
Mhm.
was about when I worked in that area. Whereas I could see sometimes with colleagues or peers, they could get a little bit caught up maybe with the terminology and, all of the language around it, and they mightn't necessarily then be able to meet the business where they're at, because the business don't really care sometimes what you call it. They just want you to find a solution to the KM problem or the L&D problem that they may have. So yeah, it's kind of going in and assuming that blank page and having the patience, and not, I suppose, losing your audience with all of the the buzzwords, the language, and you may know it, but it doesn't mean that you have to, I suppose, say it. And that's where, yeah, that's kind of, I think, a synergy, or something I try to do anyway. Even like with I teach now. I just started teaching a little bit in Smurfit College, which is a university in Dublin, and just up the road from Novartis actually. And yeah, it's a group of project managers who are just going out to the workforce now, and you're trying to, I suppose, empathize with their position as well. And yeah, again, meet them where they're at. Like they're new to AI, they're new to PM, they're going into a role that's very uncertain geopolitically. There's a lot of change out there, not just technically. So it's trying to kind of come in with I suppose that empathetic, calm mindset, listening to them, and then adapting the kind of learning and the lesson plan to meet their needs and suit their needs. So yeah, I think there's definitely a dual aspect to it, and learnings from both. And then kind of the other way as well. I probably, a lot of what I learned from through the day job, I can feed in to my night class as well. And you're coming in with practical kind of on the job learnings, and the class really, I suppose, love that, because they can see, okay, this isn't somebody who's talking about, in an ivory tower, talking about how to project manage or how to, approach knowledge man. They actually, they're kind of, I suppose, walking the walk and not just talking the talk. So, yeah, it's interesting angle to look at it. I hadn't really, but now kind of lots of little light bulbs are going off.
Well, sort of to kind of stay on that, and where project management and knowledge management are sort of adjacent.
Yeah.
You've worked with big consulting firms. You now lead KM communities at Novartis. What's one KM practice that actually works in both worlds, and one that absolutely doesn't?
That's a great question. I think
Hey, we're full of
definitely.
great questions.
You're full of all the yeah, it's as if you prepared.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
kind of.
No, I think I think regardless of anything, I suppose any area, or personal, professional, industry agnostic, I think as cliche as it sounds, the people aspect, so the community, like having kind of like e- e- energetic, real communities in place. I've seen those to different maturity levels, to different extents, in all the companies I've worked in. And the ones that work well are the ones that have the passionate leaders, the buy-in from executives, the sponsorship, the kind of built-in reward recognition, the fun aspect, I think. And they're the ones I remember, I suppose, being a part of. And maybe at the time they weren't necessarily called communities, but I can remember being part of different communities right from my graduate days to my more consulting days, and then now in Novartis as well. And yeah, I think the thing that's stood true all along has been that kind of people powered communities do work, but in order for them to work well, they have to kind of have certain, I suppose, consistent aspects to it. And yeah, one definitely being, I think, the culture, the reward, the recognition, the executive sponsorship, and definitely the fun. And something that I've kind of had to, I suppose, repeat again and again to a lot of folks coming to me looking for community or practice support, is they kind of come with the whole deck and an agenda, and and they're like, I just don't know why my community is not thriving. And you're thinking, it's because what that just looks like a meeting. What's the difference between that and your monthly meetings? And why do you have a whole deck and a big packed agenda? Like, where is this? Isn't community driven? Have you asked the community what they want to hear or talk about or see? So yeah, something that I keep repeating to them is that, yeah, is this a meeting or is it community? And if it's a community of practice, where is there the community voice in all of this? So yeah, powerful people build communities. So communities driven for the people, by the people. They've worked across every single industry or area that I'm in. And then, yeah, I think the second one kind of related back to the teaching piece is I found things that don't work well or something that doesn't work well is kind of going in, not meeting the client, the customer, the business where they're at. So I think
Mm.
in this role, kind of taking my KM hat off a little bit and trying to just understand the context that I'm in and then seeing if KM works. And similarly, when I was in L&D or similarly in project management, it doesn't necessarily mean that I have to go in, kind of all guns blazing with, my team language and my toolkit. I need to just listen to what I'm being asked, whether I'm a newbie in IBM in a grad role or whether I'm out in a client site in EY or whether I'm here in Novartis. I just need to listen to what's being asked of me and then seeing if there is a challenge or a problem that I can solution. And then is it a KM challenge or is it, so it's trying to listen and yeah, meet them where they're at. It's kind of something I always try and do and be content agnostic in a lot of cases.
Yeah. No, I love that. And so related to that, in this role at Novartis, you help people find what they know and stop reinventing the wheel, which is great. Um, but what is the most surprising wheel that you've seen people reinvent?
Ooh, that's very interesting.
Tell us the
Yeah, yeah, the insider scoop.
the inside. Yeah, tell us the dirt.
I would think not just Novartis. I would see it as a constant in many different areas, but it's probably overcomplicating the wheel and and putting too much weight
Yeah.
on the wheel. Like, and maybe in a lot of cases, like I'd say, we would be lucky that we get to join different community calls and maybe do kind of a guest speaker session at a town hall and different teams, and it feels sometimes that they're all very similar and they just don't know that the other one exists, even in the AI space. And that's something we're trying to kind of get better at now, is that there's just so many AI communities existing, which is brilliant because people are, passionate. It's the buzz term and everyone wants to kind of learn and lead and be seen to be, I suppose, part of this AI world. So, but what we found is there's so many different AI communities that exist and nobody knows maybe what the other is doing. So it's trying to merge them together. So what we did recently was a COP AI takeover, and we brought as many AI related communities into our global KM community call and let them all kind of speak to what works well in their community, what's different about their community, and just, I suppose, demystify it a little bit, because it's kind of one of those things where if I'm ready to join an AI community now, which one do I join? And maybe one of them is for this reason, one is for that. So it really helped me even understand the landscape around AI a little bit better in Novartis. So yeah, I think we're still probably that wheel. We probably don't know all the wheels, and we're still reinventing the wheel in some cases. But we're trying to do better, get better at it, and learn over time. And it's a massive company. Like we're 78,000 associates. There is going to be duplication, and there is going to be kind of I think ongoing challenges with connecting up the dots at all times. But I think even just us kind of being where we're at, we sit within a really interesting actual area as well. We're within the PTDI team. So it's people, technology, data, and insights. So we're kind of at that intersection between people and technology, which definitely feels like as a KM COE is where you want to be. And you have a
Mhm.
seat at the right tables and you're talking to the right people. So we're obviously just a small but mighty team of 5, but even having that kind of bird's eye view and that macro view, we're hoping we can circumvent a little bit of the reinvention of wheels. But yeah, there will always be a little bit, which I think is a constant in any large company. But yeah, and something actually
How many
another.
communities I'm
Sorry.
sorry. I was gonna ask, how many communities would you say there are roughly that you know of?
We did a stock take when we came into the role last year, and we just even took Viva Engage. So Engage was our kind of major community platform at the time. So we did a stock take there, and there was 2,500 thereabouts, which is
Oh,
just on Engage, which is crazy. And then if you think about how many are on Teams, and we also use now WorkVivo. So there's communities naturally emerging on that as well. So yeah, and we don't want to, like, we're definitely very much hub and spoke. Like, if those communities are out there and they're serving a purpose and they're adding value, absolutely they should exist. So we very much look at ourselves more as kind of an enabler, because prior to that, there was no COP playbook, for example, or there was no standardized approach to measure effectiveness of communities, or there was no standard community charter. So at least now we're not saying you have to use these, but these are tools and resources, tips, tricks, techniques that may help you in your role. So you don't have to begin from scratch and reinvent that wheel. Like, we're here, we exist. And this, from my side anyway, from a community practice perspective, is here and available to help you. And then, speaking of AI as well, I might be doing myself out of a job, but I created a little digital twin. So there is now a COP agent in Novartis. So basically, we came up with this really jam-packed playbook, and it was brilliant. And we had actually, we had both of you featured in it. We linked in a few articles and podcasts in our bibliography from you guys. We kind of had thoughts from kind of KM experts in the field. So we brought all of that in, but we basically ended up having a massive playbook, which was, fab, and people, it landed well. But we were trying to think practically, how can we make this more digestible and consumable? So we recreated it using Copilot Studio into a COP agent. So basically, that's enterprise wide now. Anyone can access it, and you go in and there's suggested prompts like any good AI model, but you can also just kind of free flow it and ask, I'm at the beginning of my COP journey, what should I do? And then you'll be guided kind of through step by step. We draw on
Wow.
a playbook, APQC content, and then lots of kind of links to recommended podcasts, including this, and readings and
Oh, thank you.
insights and everything like that. So that was another learning to your earlier question, Freddie. We really wanted to bring in the outside in. So we're constantly trying to bring in external perspectives and voices, and not be too insular in our thinking. So my digital twin might replace me. Who knows?
Oh, nope. AI will never fully replace. You still
No,
need the human touch.
exactly. The human connection.
So I I don't think that you would want to redesign your communities. It doesn't sound like it, especially if they're working really, really well. But if, hypothetically speaking, you could redesign the KM communities from scratch, what's one thing you'd keep, one thing you'd ditch, and then one thing you might experiment a little bit more with?
Ooh, I think I would definitely keep the kind of executive sponsorship. I think just having, in our communities anyway, we found it really beneficial when somebody, within the leadership team, or somebody kind of with I suppose influence within the organization, when they join some of our communities, even just on an ad hoc basis, even if they join 10-15 minutes, it really reinforces that this is a community that has kind of the eye of the leadership team. It kind of embeds it further, we found. So when we do get that executive sponsorship buy-in, and we do kind of have that role modeling from our leaders, I think that's something I'd love to keep. It works really well, and I can definitely see a lot of our thriving communities have that, which is fantastic. So I would definitely keep that. I think one thing I would get rid of is the communities that look too much like meetings. Because I know I've been part of some of them. I just think, oh, this is just another meeting in disguise, and there's no, I think even sometimes I see myself doing it. I'm pulling together an agenda, and I'm trying to say, okay, I want an agenda, but I also want enough freedom and flex within the meeting that, we can actually talk about what the community wants to talk about, and we can do a bit of, spontaneity within these sessions. So I definitely would try and get rid, if I could, of heavy PowerPoints, heavy agendas, anything I suppose that looks like your standard, monthly meeting. And then something to explore, we do a little bit, but I'd love to do it even more, is to, as I said, bring that outside in piece. So bring that fun element. We actually had two folks from MSD, you probably know them. So Melanie Byrne-Adams and Bláthnaid Flynn. So fellow pharma KM gurus. They're both in Ireland as well, but they joined our last KM community call, and it was amazing. Just the whole dynamic and energy of the call shifted. I felt like we have a great energy, we have great attendance at our monthly KM calls, but there was something different. There was kind of a little bit more magic, and the chat was kind of hopping. People were just really engaged, and I think it was because they saw two other folks doing KM in a pharma company, and things that they were talking so relatably, and people could see, I suppose, us and them and us, and the two folks that joined were amazing storytellers. Talk about the art of storytelling. They they had it down to a fine art. So I think I'd love to do that a little bit more, like bring in, it doesn't necessarily have to relate to what we're doing day to day, bringing in other folks, bringing that outside in lens more and more, just to kind of get more creative and experiment a little bit and learn from that, back to the lessons learned, learning from others, like, and learning how to, I suppose, think outside the box. And I know when I was started the role, actually, I know I'd reached out to yourself, Brittany, and you kindly shared some of the learnings from your COP days and your kind of playbook and things that you had put together, over the years. So that really helps. And I think we sometimes tend to go internally and go to a colleague internally of what worked, and ask them what worked well. But why not kind of take it a step further and bring in that external lens more and more? So it's something we're doing. I think we're getting better at, and we're doing it a little bit more. But there's probably even more scope to experiment further with it.
I love that. And I think that that's the stuff that AI, like, you're not going to fully be out of a job because that's the
Yeah,
stuff that
yeah,
AI is never going to replace, right? Is that human
exactly.
to human, that connection that just happens when you bring somebody from the outside in and people go, oh, but you're from a
Yeah.
similar context and you did it this way and we could do that. We could totally do that, right? Like those moments, like AI can't replicate that. Might
Yeah.
be able to connect you with people, but then it's up to you to make that connection what it is, right? And I think that's something that Rachel and I have in common is there's that human element that is just never. AI is cool and it's not going away and it is the future of work. It's the present of work. It's not even the future of work.
Yeah.
It's here. Um, but that human element is it's never going to go away. And if anything, the more that AI expands, the more that that human in the loop, so just like that phrase, becomes even more important. Because
Absolutely, yeah.
there's that connection and there's that learning that just you can't it doesn't happen with an AI, right? AI can help enable it, but it doesn't really happen as organically as it does when you're in these conversations. So I really like that. Thanks for sharing that with us because I think that's a really important, a nice reflection.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we're trying. We even actually set up. You probably mentioned him before, but Stan Garfield. He's my mentor outside of Novartis. That's actually a good tip as well. Something Barry suggested when we all came into the role was to get an external mentor. Also, internal mentors are very important, but external mentors, again, the external influence. So I grabbed Stan. I stalked him at Knowledge Summit, and I messaged him on LinkedIn a couple of days later and said, "Any chance you want to take on a humble mentee?" But he graciously accepted, and he that was some kind of guidance as well that he had mentioned, like why recreate the wheel, why lesson learn internally, why not go out externally and bring in other voices. So Stan obviously runs the SLKM community, which is kind of a global powerhouse of KM thought leaders, and you can literally go in and crowdsource ideas. So what I do in lots of cases when we're thinking of something that we want to initiate or lead in Novartis from a KM perspective is I put it up onto the SLKM community and say, we're thinking about launching an enterprise knowledge council. Would anybody in this community have any thoughts or done this before? So it's kind of lessons learned amplified because you're actually bringing it in from external sources. And then we took it one step further and created an SIKM Dublin community. So
Yeah. I saw
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, we'll have to do we'll hijack the Knowledge Summit and do an SIKM Dublin maybe meetup. But yeah, there's a few folks then who live locally enough here in Dublin,
Yeah.
and we kind of get together every couple of months and again just share knowledge and,
Awesome.
as you said, bringing the human in the loop and yeah, try and problem share together, trauma bonding.
That's awesome. Yeah, trauma bonding. Yeah, I'm part of
That's how we can also describe knowledge management, frankly,
Yeah,
sometimes. So
yeah, yeah. Oh, we do. Trauma
absolutely.
bond.
Yeah, I'm part of the SIKM Boston group
Ah,
because I'm
cool.
an hour north of Boston, and I'm part of the SIKM Boston. And that group presented at Empower KM this year.
Amazing. Yeah.
A few came down and flew down to Charleston, South Carolina, where we had it, and that was really special. But yeah, we meet monthly.
Yeah.
A lot of it's virtually, just logistically.
Yeah.
It's not always easy to get to because we don't have office space anymore.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we meet virtually mostly, and then quarterly we try to get together in person, roughly
Yeah.
quarterly. Um, so it's great to just have the thought partners like that we can outside perspectives where we can all get together and speak. But it'd be cool if Boston and Dublin we
Yeah.
got together and spoke some time. And
Absolutely.
Stan is also a friend of the podcast. We're going to be doing an interview with him as well.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And he's just an incredible mentor to the KM community as well. So, it's
100%.
it's
Yeah.
great to be able to get some. It's great to be able to get folks like Stan who've been around forever to
Mhm.
be able to speak on a podcast like this, but also to get newer voices like where you have been in the field for less than a year, willing to be able
Yeah.
to share your perspective as well, because that's I think what Brittany and I are trying to do with this podcast to get the diverse perspectives and the diverse voices, but also what Brittany and then our team is trying to do with Empower KM, where we're trying to um, get the next generation of KMers up, together so we can have newer voices in the field, but also almost have that bridge, the gap bridged with some of the mentorship and being able to pass the torch, if you will, from I don't want to say old guard to the new guard, but to have that opportunity where everybody can learn that those lessons
Exactly.
learned, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually learned.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not just that the tacit knowledge that's stuck. It's actually somewhere where people can actually learn from each other. So,
And it's like
oh, this
reverse
has been
mentoring, isn't
fantastic.
it?
Do you have any other thoughts or questions or things you'd like to share with us?
Actually, on the mentoring piece, myself and Stan will be literally to your point, Rachel. It's like you read our minds. We're going to be doing kind of a mentoring and action session at the Knowledge Summit. So it'll be myself a year new to the KM space versus Stan, who's been around a little longer. And we're going to do that kind of flipped approach, like a reverse mentoring kind of an action. So it'll be KM 101 and showing, I suppose, the power of mentoring in action. So we're going to be doing that in June, and then hopefully we're going to take that then to KM World in November.
Oh,
So
nice.
we'll have a chance.
Wow, that would be
Yeah,
cool.
that's the plan. So
Global roadshow.
yeah, a little roadshow, take it on tour. Yeah, some
Yeah, take it on
roadies.
tour to our Empower KM
Yeah,
in
yeah,
February.
absolutely. Yeah, we'd keep going. The band will keep
May as
going.
well.
Both.
Shameless plug.
And I
No,
actually
but
have a really
seriously,
important question for both of you. So I heard on, I think it was either your podcast or a different podcast, that you both got matching tattoos at the last.
oh yes,
at the
yeah, we
last
have our
We
Dublin
did.
tattoo. Yeah,
So,
with our friend Jess.
ah,
In Dublin, we got our Dublin speakers tattoo,
oh,
which is this key.
Oh yeah, the Dublin one
oh my
is
God,
here.
that's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yep, those are the Dublin keys,
And the kind of
and
shamrock
then
band. Yeah.
and then our Charleston keys are here.
And then the
So
Charleston.
it
Oh, that's
started
amazing.
that we were going to when we speak at conferences now, this is a thing. We get our knowledge keys because we're nerds.
Yeah.
So we get our keys to knowledge.
But
And it
it's
started
speaking for the first time in a certain city, because otherwise we would all be covered. If you
covered in
speak
keys.
multiple
Yeah.
times, then it's but the first
Right,
time
yeah.
that you
So it's just the
speak
first
in a
time.
certain city, we
Yeah.
get
Oh,
we
So
get the
so then you
key.
won't get another one in June, will you, if you're over again, or?
not well, it won't be another key. Like we might get a tattoo in June
I
or
think you
June while
should.
we're there, but it won't be for
I've
speaking.
already
It'll just be
reached
a
out to the
tattoo.
same I've already reached out to the same place. They remember us from last year. They're like, "Oh yeah, you were the ones with the keys. How
Yeah.
are you?" So
Yeah, so
we'll
we'll
probably go,
go,
just not for
but
the key, just
yeah.
not for keys.
Yeah, I'm getting one in London next week. I've already got that scheduled.
Oh, cool.
Jess and Kathleen and I got this one in DC because I've
Love.
spoken in DC multiple times for KM World. And I've spoken multiple times in Houston for APQC, but I haven't gotten a Houston key. So I, even though I'm not technically speaking in Houston this year, even though I have for
Yeah.
the two previous, I might go get mine in Houston when
Gotta
I'm
make
there
it
in 2
happen.
weeks.
You definitely
But
should.
yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh
I
yeah.
need
So it's
to,
turned into a thing. We get our
yeah.
keys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the key idea is really cool. It's nice that there's like kind of a symbol for it. But I'll have to say to Stan now, this is something we have to do. Yeah,
I don't know
every
if
time we
Stan
speak.
will. I was talking to him about it once at one point, and he just kind of looked at me with like the
Yeah.
Stan look. Like, all right. I mean,
Yeah,
you
I
might
think
convince him to
You
get
might
matching
be able to be
burgers, like go
convinced.
out for matching
You
burgers or
might be
something.
able to
But
be
yeah,
convinced.
something a little bit smaller. That's cool. And did you say as well when you went to get the tattoo, the lady in Dublin understood what KM was? Like you didn't have
yeah,
to. That is so cool. That's refreshing.
yeah, she was awesome. Like
Yeah.
she knew like better than most people. She was like, "Oh, knowledge management. That's kind of like library adjacent, and she rattled off, and we all just looked at each other and were like,
Stunned.
"What?" It was fantastic.
We were like, there's a second day of this conference at the college. You want to just stop by?
Come with us.
Just wanna
Walk
just
in and
Yeah,
see
come
what
it was so
happens.
cool.
The new keynote speaker. Keynote, yeah. There
Yeah,
you
yeah.
go.
No, it's fantastic. Well, I know for certain that Brittany and I are looking forward to Knowledge Summit Dublin taking place in June.
Yes.
We are very excited. And that's less than 90 days away from now.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
today.
flown
And by
in.
the time this airs, it'll be even closer.
Even closer.
So,
Yeah. I think it's like the 29th of June. So it's it's absolutely like it's been a roller
it'll
coaster
be here
year so
soon.
far. So God
Yeah.
knows where it'll be by then. But yeah, looking forward to meeting up with you both in person. It'll be really exciting.
Yes.
Maybe I'll get us one
Yes.
too. Who knows? I don't have any, so it'll be
Well,
it'll
We
be an
can send you the
experience.
name
But
of the place. Like, if you're interested, we can send you the name of the place. It's a really nice
yeah,
place.
don't
They're
feel
really nice
obligated on our
people. So,
behalf.
yeah,
But yeah, it's a great
yeah,
place.
mandatory tattoos.
So awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and
Yeah, no.
excited to catch up again in Dublin.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. It's been great, girls. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
This episode of Not Another KM podcast was edited by me, Rachel Teague. It was produced by Rachel Teague and Brittany Persinger. Our fantastic theme music was created by Chase Tremaine Music. Questions, comments, quips, quotes, or conundrums? Reach out to us at nakmpod@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. We really appreciate your support.